so I need to introduce myself very briefly. I am working on the early Bronze Age. So, as you know, early Bronze Age means Kura Araxes culture. It's the flip side of the coin, how we call it. So Kura Araxes culture means early Bronze Age. So we had a doctor mention about brought about the example from early Bronze Age, but I will be looking at early Bronze Age from Azerbaijan, examples mainly from Azerbaijan, because I did my PhD on Kura Araxes culture as a case study Azerbaijan. So, 1 second. So yes, so Kura Araxes culture, for those of you, if you are less familiar with the culture, so Kura Araxes culture is one of the most distinctive and long-lived, yet very little understood cultural complexes of ancient Southwest Asia. So, as you can see from the map, Kura Araxes was quite spread across the modern-day 11 countries. So, origin land, if you see, do I have? Can you see my mouse? Oh, no, you can't. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Right. So this is the homeland. Homeland means origin, where the culture is originated, which means Caucasus. This is believed, and this has been decades now, believes that homeland is the Caucasus, and later it started to expand across the southern North Caucasus and up to the Levant, and also eastern Anatolia and Zagros Mountain, reached to the central Iran as well. So as you can see, it's quite massive culture, and it went through 3 phases. So we say KAC 1, 2, 3, and during these stages, culture went through different development and different stages of growth. And these 3 concepts were in the heart of KAC communities: homeland, migration, and diaspora. These 3 things is quite important to understand this culture. And it's originated, why it's called Kura Araxes. But in the literature, you might find a lot of different names. For example, Karas culture, it is the sites in Turkey, and we have the Shengavit culture in Armenia, early Trans-Caucasian culture as well. We have also Tibet-Keran culture in the Levant. So as you can see, so much diversity across this, around this culture, to understand this culture. So what is the typical material culture look like? So we call it a cultural package. The cultural package means material cultural assemblage, which is bring together all this material culture. We have animal figurines, these specific examples from Azerbaijan, which I took during my data collection, a typical Kura Araxes vessel with the globular shaped handles. We have the horse here, we have flint, we have spindle whorl animal figurine. But what is interesting about this culture, so throughout the decades, we've been trying to understand what is actually Kura Araxes. We looked at it as a linear way. We just looked at the description of the material culture. But we don't know, we know less about what is are they egalitarian culture, egalitarian societies? Do they have hierarchy? Or how's a domestic production happening? What is the how is this storage of goods, equal distribution of the materials happening across the sites? Are they pastoral? Are they agrarian or agri-pastoral? We have so much going on to understand this culture. And also, the main thing which I mentioned earlier, migration. Because in order to expand, this is the huge, covering huge region, so migration played a huge role. However, it is still puzzling to understand whether people moved or ideas moved, whether people migrated or the ideas migrated with people. So this is still hard to understand. Kura Araxes, the settlements, Kura Araxes people usually introduced as a people of hills. So upland, highland people. However, recent studies show that actually Kura Araxes people, they quite really adapted to environment. They try to adapt to different environments which impacted on, say, settlement occupation, settlement pattern, architecture, and subsistence economy. But there is a general consensus that in the initial stage of culture, people tend to occupy lowland areas. So greater concentration was in the lowland areas. But later on, as the culture progressed, expansion of the communities went to the highland, which were forging the highland-lowland connections between communities, especially toward the later stage of the culture, and which affected also subsistence strategies of the communities. And the settlement, so there are quite a range of, in different range of altitudes, ranging from under like 10 meters, from Azerbaijan, for example, the settlement pattern ranging from under 10 meters along the Caspian coastline, and goes up to 2,900 meters. Quite a massive upland, highland. Some settlements have found on a tape, like a tell, which shows a long history of occupation. And some settlements were built on artificial mound or plains that emerged as a shorter period of occupation. Although the dynamic of Kura Araxes' social complexity, population growth, intersocial interaction remained unexplored. However, we have few understanding about the KAC, Kura Araxes settlements. They've been between the 1 and 1.5 hectares settlement size. The medium size range between 3 and 5 hectares. We have also large settlements group, which is 6 and up to the 10 hectares. So, however, KAC, Kura Araxes settlement, fall between small and medium-sized settlement. Very rare we have the settlement which go beyond 6 hectares. So, and this is sort of development of architecture throughout the Kura Araxes phases. This is not the concrete answer, and this is not the concrete conclusion that this is what KAC went through, Kura Araxes culture went through this architecture. But this is general consensus and has been quite well agreed between scholars. So we have in the beginning of culture, we have freestanding circular structures. Later, we have the quite, yeah, so there is in the early stages of the culture, we have freestanding circular houses. As you know, circular houses is quite typical to the Caucasus. We have more circular houses than rectangular houses throughout the 1,000 years. And so yes, the circular started in the first stages of the culture. Later we see some sort of complexity and the culture is growing, they're progressing. So we have large circular houses with rectangular annexes, which is the second stage of our culture. And the later stages, we see the growing trend toward the rectangular dwellings. So the last phases of the Kura-Araxes culture, which is between 2,800 and 2,500, we can see so much diversity happening. How they call it, balkanization, cultural division, diversity, local changes, varieties. But also we have in Kura-Araxes very small percentage, but we have also some settlements, especially in Armenia and Georgia, where is significant stone walls, yes, walls. The role of defensing, sort of having fortification walls. For example, in Mokhrabulur and Budabertka in Georgia, in Shreshbulur in Armenia, and also we have in Iran as well, Köhne Shahar. I will show you later. I think it is at the end. But yes, so we have in Iran as well. In the last stage, we have some sort of the fortification walls appear. And now I want to quickly go what is the typical in a sense Kura-Araxes houses look like. So these are as you can see, so much diversity in Kura-Araxes houses. Mud brick, organic wattle and daub, and the most houses they've been having the stone foundation. For example, as you can see, it shows the quite activity area in Ovçular in Azerbaijan, and here Kura-Araxes had which we saw in Dr. Irina's presentation. Hearth is the main element for these communities as prehistoric communities. I think we already discussed it. And we had a question earlier about subterranean houses. Subterranean, semi-dark, it has so many different names. And this is quite interesting because we don't have that much during the Kura-Araxes culture. And this is, I believe, and I looked at literature, I believe they should be in Georgia from my during the early Bronze Age, but this is from Azerbaijan, and in Azerbaijan, semi-dark, semi-structure was quite getting the region local similarity from up north Dagestan. So the culture called Valikan is where the Kura-Araxes expanded. So it shows that there are so much similarity between Dagestan, semi-subterranean, and in Azerbaijan as well. So I will be going quickly, and the construction of the houses. So we looked at the diversity across the different architecture, but one thing united these people, as we mentioned, the hearth in the middle. As you can see, this is This is the heart in the middle, and it's sort of bringing communities together, bringing community and gathering point for Kura Araxes communities. So this is the photo from the kitchen. It shows like the structure of the Kura Araxes houses had 1 or 2 rooms. The second, so this is the division, and this is the kitchen arrangement. So this is the sort of kitchen arrangement and the bench along the wall. But what is the interesting? We can't find. So we don't know. Even though there is a division, but the material culture is almost the same in both divisions. So there is no diversity. It's almost a similar element, culture and materials, almost the same. And we have yes, so we have different, so we have the roof here, just quickly going through we have flat roof as well, we have a sort of dome roof in KAC houses, mud brick sample, and the post hole as well. And yeah, so I mentioned about the ritual as well. So in order to understand the ritual, the mainly is the hearth in the middle. We have the animal figurines, and again the hearth in the middle. And this is the portable hearth as well. This is from the cultic, sort of from the room, cultic room, which has a religious purpose. So yes, so this is sort of like wrap-up photo image, just to show that how the division was happening. And for example, structure 5 here. So structure 5 contains several annexed open buildings featuring central hearth, again, grinding stone, big storage vessels, and metal works. It's here. But so suggesting it has been communal activities and communal. And if we move the structure 6, on the other hand, contains dense circular and rectangular buildings which seems more self-contained and suggesting more individual household-based organization. And also if we move structure 6, sorry, 1.4, it shows the more gathering. So in the heart in the middle, so we have the more gathering point here. So why, since our conference, it's focusing on the sustainability and traditional architecture. I think Kura Araxes was quite interesting. It's quite interesting example because even though sustainability it's the new emerging field, but I think Kura Araxes people, they adapted to environment. They've been using this sustainability. For example, we can see there is a pattern of reusage of some buildings with a series of replacement and appearance of repeated pattern of successive periods of rebuilding. So they've been trying not to work too hard. So also using easy, accessible, replaceable pattern. So also, and it's about, if we talk about this is more sort of a sense of unity, a sense of identity, because Kura Araxes culture exists 1,000 years. from 3500 BC until 2500 BC. So we're trying to understand what is the identity, how they kept their identity, and how they united within this sustainability concept. And also when we say sustainability, it means tracing adaptive strategies, understanding multi-resource dependency, evaluate resilience, and also revealing the long-term human ecological entanglement. And yes, so we are in the end. So what is the next step? It's actually a question mark. I would like to ask you, what do you think about the next step? How we can learn from prehistory and apply today's life? But I think the next step, specifically for Kura-Araxes communities, I think we need to understand techno-culture groups. So we need to understand the typological, technological analysis. We need to understand building materials. We need to understand the layout techniques. We need to understand architectural morphology in Kura-Araxes communities. But also, I think we need to understand the clustering, grouping of settlements, so we can do comparative studies. And also, in order to understand the architecture, we need to, hand in hand, understand the social world. What is the ritual? What is the social structure? What is the social world look like in Kura-Araxes communities? And also understanding variation in the environment, because we have less environmental studies in Kura-Araxes communities, and availability of raw materials, impact building materials and techniques, and obviously employing the chain operatoire approach to understand the preparation of building materials, the sourcing, and have the micromorphology studies. So thank you very much.
Yeah. So I have a question actually, or better comment. Sorry.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So first of all, I think it won't be a surprise for anybody that, as you really showed, hearth, family, house, it's kind of the same concept. It's in many nations like this, and especially in Armenian, it's called Ocak, in Georgian, Ojahi, right? Or Ocak. Yeah, Ojahi, in Azerbaijani, Ocak. So, but also in other nations, I know in Germany, same, in ancient Rome, in Greek. But in Caucasus, you can trace it back till the Kura-Araxes period. So this is something really special, that the hearth is signed of, I would like.
Yeah.
Like it is the same, yeah, the same level, like. Ocak is family. We also say, but for us it's heart. But then also family. But depends on the east and west. Yeah, I see. But area is a place which. But also coming back to the topic, I actually have, this was just a comment, but I have a question. Basically, Kura-Araxes is, in my understanding, the current research is definitely saying that during this time, people really went to the lowlands. So you have highland archaeology like, Vishap or Vishap in Armenia, but also in Cavakheti, also a bit in the eastern Turkey. They are never dated to the Kura-Araxes, either before or just after that. Or you have the other types of this, sorry, I've forgotten the name, but the parachutes, yeah, parachute buildings.
Oh, you mean semi-sub?
No, the Highland archaeologists. Kites, yes. The kite.
The dragon kites.
The kite.
Yeah.
The kites like in Jordan or in Kazakhstan.
Right.
So you have it also in Armenia, in the Ararat, next to Ararat Valley. They are also either before Kura Araxes or after Kura Araxes.
Yeah,
They're never in Kura Araxes.
Yeah.
So basically, people went down to the rivers, to the river beds. You have all the way of Araxes. That's why the name Kura and Araxes, right? I saw the maps, and all the river from both banks are full of early Bronze Age settlement, and that's why they had access to mud bricks because of the water, because of the soil, sand. Sorry, because of the sand.
Yeah.
So, do you think it's like the landscape and the
architecture?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's actually, thank you for making this point. I mentioned yesterday to Dr. Francisca. Oh yes. So yeah, me and my colleague Gwendolyn, she's based in England. So we are writing actually on paper, and we are submitting soon. It's about looking at the zoo. So we are looking at the isotopic analysis, animal samples from Azerbaijan, but also we'll look at the architectural change. It actually shows that so much diversity. So yeah, I mean, I think we have for Kura Araxes, we all the time we have definite answer. This is Kura Araxes, but this is actually not. We still don't know about the people, and we still need to have more environmental studies. We need to have more environmental studies and landscape, but looking at a larger scale. But yes, answer to your question, if am I made the right? Yeah. So definitely landscape architecture, definitely overlapping and linked.
For example, in Middle Bronze Age, you have, of course, in several examples, they are mostly from stone, because people are going really on the hills or on the mountains.
Right. And during the Middle Bronze Age, also the abandonment of settlements, which Kurgans, yes, which the Kurgans replaced. I mean, we all know, But also interesting about the Middle Bronze Age architecture. What was the reason abandonment of the?
There is a huge new book published 2024. The end of Kura Araxes.
Right. Yes.
And they couldn't give a definite answer because it's complicated.
This could be linked also with climate change. Yes. You see, before was something that was relaxed, so eventually they had to go down.
Absolutely. Sorry, you had a question.
Well, I'm not a specialist or an academic, I'm a practical person.
Yeah. I am the opposite, sorry.
I think if you really want to understand the culture, you have to look at what they were making on the hearth. And my studies are mostly about cereals and wheat and bread. And I think you have to look at what they were making, and what cereals they were growing, and that domestication, and the fact that they were then fixed in a location, so the buildings had to be constantly repaired and renovated.
Yes.
And there was, it's taken a long time for people to get their head around sustainable architecture. And very famous American architect said the most sustainable building is the one that already exists.
Already exists.
Already exists. So if you've got a mud brick building, then we talked about reusing the mud and reusing the bricks. And I read an article yesterday about Armenia, and they were some scientists that analysed the soil in the bricks and shown that the soil had come from degraded bricks before. So this sort of, this
recycling
of soil.
Yeah.
This is what we're trying today in one of the architects.
Which?
That's what I do.
Yeah, wonderful. No, absolutely. I think, but in Caucasus is more wheat and barley. This is the cereal wheat and barley. Yeah, wheat and barley. So these two types were more dominant across the Caucasus communities. But obviously, I mean, in order, I completely agree. In order to understand one culture, you need to look at different aspects. You can't look at only one aspect. So this is why with Caucasus, it is still, because we still don't have that much scientific project. I'm talking especially about Azerbaijan. But also we need to bring, as I mentioned, Caucasus expanded across 11 countries. It is massive culture, but we don't have collaboration between each other because for many reasons, we all know, right? So we need to actually come together to understand this culture and bring together these regions and have the cross-regional comparisons. So, yeah. All right. Do we, is it, yes, please.
I'm interested, do we have any even speculative that makes you or why the shape fluctuates so much, and why?
Sorry, do you mind to repeat it? I can't hear you.
Do we have any of why the shape of the building and more like centuries? Because I know now I have rectangular buildings, but furniture distribution, etc. But do we have any idea when they choose the shape?
It's hard, to be honest. I mean, I all the time ask the question from architects, so I'm not architect, but from the literature, I mean, from what I know, circular is more comfortable in a sense, easy to build. And obviously about how the climate, also keep the cooler and warmer, all this temperature. But also, yeah, I mean, I don't know why it changed from circular to rectangular. I mean, if anyone knows, please. Sorry? No.
I think that's correct. I think that as communities developed and they became, I think they needed more privacy. I think privacy was important. I mean, you can't really cut a circular building into segments. A rectangular building chopped into separate bedrooms, kitchens, and living areas,
Yeah.
but then you lose the heart. And the other thing that I think is the most important thing, the smoke from the cooking has to get out. And there's no chimneys in round it. There's no chimney. The smoke has to go out.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is
right.
Very.
Yes, exactly. So
otherwise you're laying on the floor because the smoke just fills the whole.
Yeah. And no, yeah, exactly. So it is exactly about the privacy. The communal gathering already gone, right? If they build rectangular.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have.
This is why I can't.
Sorry?
Thank you. I mean, these round forms contain rectangles because we can find these changing. What I can remember, for instance, go back. The oldest period, which is 11,500 years old, is circular, but in about 1,000 years, they appear also rectangular forms. So maybe there is a kind of development of the place, but for me, for an architect, literally architectural history, I never, I haven't read any correct aspect of why they did that.
I think it also depends on the techniques of construction and on the materials. We are building in mud bricks. A round construction, a small round construction is easier to close. If you have a rectangular one, you need wood or you need something to close it. So this is something much more complicated.
But also maybe you could add this point. I found in when I looked at data from Azerbaijan, mud brick sizes change according to building. In rectangular annexes, mud brick size is much bigger and very robust. But in the circular houses, mud brick size is smaller. So is that because rectangular annexes was more household activities, we need some robust, very firm architecture? For the circular, we don't need it because we just gather and say, we don't need that much firm.
Is that the problem is that the structure, if you have it grounded, the turbidity is made by the structure, so it's much more resistant to earthquake and movements and much more elastic. So if you have a rectangle, you need bigger walls because you have to bear the heavy of the roof and then you have to front with movements and so this is why.
Well, that's true, but the most important thing at the size of most bricks is how far you've got to move the weight of them. So you need to be able to pick the brick up and do that.